From Bloomington Fine Art Supply, this is Art in Common, your 5 to 10 minute shopcast offering a snack-sized bite of arts and culture from the Bloomington community. I'm Heather Farmer, your host and the art nerd in charge at bfa.supply. In today's episode, we're unpacking the art of storytelling and storytelling as an art. Storytelling is the faded, wiry thread that ties today's wild and vibrant world of visual expression back to narrow, dark caverns where experts and average citizens alike have discovered depictions of our origins. I've always been captivated by ancient art. Did the creators whose craftsmanship we still witness ever dream or even care if it would be viewed by us hundreds, sometimes thousands of years later? Do the cave walls in Lascaux, France depict a major hunt worth remembering? Or the day-to-day life of hunters who found solidarity and camaraderie in the commemoration of their shared pursuit? The way it's indecipherable and yet somehow also universal? We still tell stories this way. Our means of communicating are more varied and complex, but the desire to tell and share our stories is the same as ever. Panel by panel, page by page, canvas by canvas. For today's studio visit segment, I'm joined by Elizabeth Blackwell, an artist and storyteller and the director of Bloomington's first ever CrankieFest coming up in April. If you've never encountered a Crankie before, it's a hand-cranked scroll that reveals an illustrated story as it moves. The internal scroll displays like a screen in a window cut into a box, or cut into any manner of things, as I learned from Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for agreeing to bring us all into the Crankie world with you. I'm so excited to learn a little bit more about this kind of zine-adjacent medium. And my first question is that Crankies often feel personal from what I've seen on the We're Crankie Instagram account and others like it. Sometimes they even feel intimate, like a diary. How do you think this format encourages artists to tell stories from their own perspective rather than trying to perform for an audience?
I think Crankies are really personal because a lot of people, they make them about their community or their own history, and a lot of times they're done to perform for a community, just for joy.
So talk to me more about that, about community scrolls. BFA Supply, the shop, has been invited to contribute a community scroll for the CrankieFest coming up in April. What sorts of topics do you see come up in community scrolls with organizations you've collaborated with previously?
So a lot of times it's been frustration in federal and local government here, and it's been really fun because a lot of people make political art without realizing it. It's fun. I like doing community scrolls because it's a good way to introduce people to Crankies, because not a lot of people know about them unless you're like into folk art or just art in general. Like, I didn't know about them till grad school. Kids really are reactive. I did Lotus, and that was overwhelming. There was at least 30 to 40 children at the table at once.
Wow.
And you couldn't control the flow. It was good, but it also was overwhelming again.
It's cool to know that you have encountered that kind of crush of enthusiasm when this has become available to people in a community format. And speaking of young makers, do you remember the first Crankie you made? Was there a particular moment that this medium clicked for you? What was that discovery like?
My first one that I made was for my thesis work. No pressure, right? So that was pretty funny. But the first box I made was way too big. It's now what I use for We're Crankie. And then the first time I performed the first edition of that scroll, I cut newsprint paper and then taped it all together so it's not level, it's not even, but it was a good practice. Then I performed it at Whimsy Fest in Minneapolis, and that was really fun because I was so nervous because I'm not a performer like that. But the scroll is about grief, but I didn't tell anyone what it was about. So people were laughing when it started because it's these Cyclops characters getting eaten by fish. And I use this scroll when I go to community scroll events to just introduce people and how it works. And then it got really quiet because in the scroll, the city's burning and the fish are terrorizing people, which is like, you know, in Minneapolis, it's very recent stuff that happened there. So everyone got super quiet. And I was in the dark outside, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is a good quiet. And then I got to the end, and it was a lot of applause, and it was really great. People were talking to me afterward. And it was nice to have that moment where people went silent because they could connect.
Mm. So that leads into my next question really nicely, which has to do with storytelling and pacing. Crankies give the artist control over how fast or slow the story is unveiled to the viewer. Do you feel like how fast or how slow that story is told has an impact on the audience, or is it just a known variable between showings?
Pacing is different for everyone with a lot of reasons, because a lot of times crankies are paired with music. Movement is really important, but pacing is whatever you want, which I think is pretty fun. The only time I've had a trouble with pacing has been with the Lotus Community Scroll, because it's the longest one we've ever done. It's 104 feet.
Whoa.
So my arms get tired, but I'm looking inside the scroll, and I've built the box in such a large way, I'm not tall enough to like bend correctly. So it's just an awkward stance for me. But usually when you're playing it for other people, you can keep in pacing because of the energy and how people are reacting.
My next question, again, perhaps dovetailing nicely with where we're at, is about perspective and voice. How does scale, whether a cranky is small, handheld, and close versus larger scale, how does that shape the kinds of stories people tell, or does it?
Size can be personal, either if it's really large or really small, because then a crowd can see it if it's huge, but if it's really small, you have to hold it yourself, and it's way more delicate, so you have to be gentle. I used a pumpkin every Halloween because I saw online someone use a pumpkin, and I was like, oh, that's the best idea ever. Totally gonna do that. I didn't realize they used a fake pumpkin, so they had it way easier, because let me tell you, using a real pumpkin is not as easy, because, you know, they're organic. You can't control, really. You can, right, but not really, the shape of a pumpkin. But I have a live candle in the pumpkin, so you have to be really, like, gentle and not shake it, because they don't want a fire. But I always use dowel rods for the handles, because it's not something I'm precious, you know, like worried about keeping good.
It had never occurred to me prior to this conversation that you could make a cranky out of lots of different things. It's cool to discover that not only can you vary the scale, but you can really get imaginative about the housing for the scroll itself and how that can contribute to the narrative. Leading up to CrankieFest in April, what do people need to know? Can they submit work? Can they attend just to observe? What's the scoop there?
Yeah, you can submit your work on a Google form on our website. When you submit work, we have 2 rules. You have to make your own scroll artwork, and it can't be AI-generated art. We are against AI art, and if you apply with it, you'll be banned forever. I'm serious about it. Yeah. It's bad for the environment, it's bad for artists, and people just need to care more about that.
Yeah.
And then when you come to the show, you can just bring your happy selves and you can watch, and it'll be pretty fun, I hope. We're going to have a live video feed projected on a screen of everyone performing, so then everyone can see, hopefully. Hope to see you there.
Yeah. It's going to be a great time, I have no doubt. We're excited to be collaborating with Elizabeth and We're Crankie on our upcoming Let's Get Cranky workshop, where participants will build their own cranky and also help create one for bfa.supply to feature at CrankieFest this spring. It feels like a really special way to practice storytelling together by making something that moves, changes, and reflects many voices at once. CrankieFest is Bloomington's first celebration dedicated entirely to this format. The festival will take place April 18th at the downtown branch of the Monroe County Public Library, and submissions are due by Saturday, March 14th. Whether you are an artist, a storyteller, or just curious, it's a chance to experience art in motion, up close and intentionally paced. Speaking of capturing motion and building narrative over time, one of the ways we're continuing to explore that idea at the shop is through our new gesture series. These recurring classes feature a live, clothed model who assumes several different short-duration poses over the course of each session. Gesture drawing is all about decisive mark-making and trusting your gut, learning how to capture posture, balance, and volume without overworking the drawing. In a way, it's another form of storytelling in motion, just compressed into moments instead of scrolls. Gesture drawing sessions are held in our Creative Commons studio on the last Tuesday of each month from 6 to 8 p.m., with the next session coming up on March 31st. All experience levels are welcome, and you can work in any medium you like. It's a great way to loosen up, practice seeing differently, and the perfect opportunity to try something new. Thanks for listening to Art in Common. You can find more information about Elizabeth's work, CrankieFest, our upcoming Let's Get Cranky workshop, and our new gesture series in Paint Can Press and on our website. See you next time.